We ready? Let's go. Easy, easy, easy. Settle down, folks. Settle down. Yes, yes, I am back. I am back and better than ever, ladies and gentlemen, folks. Genders of all. Welcome back to another episode of the T Bloom Talk Show, the number one podcast in the world. Today is a special day because we're going to be going over week 7 of the 2021 National Football League season. Now, what does that consist of? Well, like I said, we're going to be going over week 7. Before we get into week 8, which will be for my Friday's podcast episode, we need to go back and figure out how we got to this point. So I'll go through all the games, break it down, give you some stat leaders, important news that I think you guys should know about, really see how each game unfolded, why it unfolded the way it did. Then, by the end of the podcast, I will give you my official prediction for this Thursday's night matchup of the Green Bay Packers versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we're going to start this off with the Thursday night game of last week. I know it's a little late. I know it happened to be what they call a shit show at the highest of levels. The Browns versus the Broncos. No Baker starting. No Nick Chubb starting. Kareem Hunt out. The Broncos, well, they're the Broncos. They don't really have anybody to start with. But you guys know what I mean. A real shit show. So we'll keep it short and sweet. Slop Fest. Classic Thursday night. Snooze Fest. Could barely tell there was an NFL game on. If you're a bettor, you probably stayed away from this game entirely. And the headline was Case Keenum versus Teddy Two Gloves. Not going to sell you a lot of tickets. Not going to get you a lot of viewers. That's why they put it on Thursday night. But let's talk about D'Ernest Johnson. Career day. 22 attempts. He gets 146 yards, 1 touchdown. Shout out D'Ernest. I saw a post on Twitter. Not sure if it was real or not, but it's D'Ernest Johnson sending a recruiter a message on, trying to get a tryout because he wasn't recruited heavily out of high school. It was a, heartfelt message. Hey, coach, just wanted to know if you would give me a tryout. These are my stats. Here's my videos, blah, blah, blah. But a very heartwarming story, to say the least, for my man, D'Ernest Johnson. He gets the job done, puts the team on his back. Browns win it 17-14. Case Keenum, 21 for 33, 199 yards and a TD. Not crazy stats, but gets the job done. You know what you're getting with Case Keenum. Okay, he's not going to win you any games, but he's hardly going to lose you any games. Not much to talk about on the Broncos side of the ball. Kind of a slop fest over there in Denver. Started off 3-0. Now they sit 3-3 or 3-4, something around there. But got a lot to work on over there in Denver. Now we're moving on to more recent games. I know it's still a little bit away, but this Sunday, the Washington football team and the Green Bay Packers played each other. Man, oh man, was it close to being a close one. Aaron Rodgers, 27 for 35, 274 yards and 3 TDs, no interception. Classic Aaron Rodgers. Davante Adams, 6 receptions, 76 yards, and a TD. Those two are the best duo in the league. I don't even think it's close. But here's where it gets interesting. Taylor Heinicke, 25 for 37, 268 yards and 1 TD and 1 interception. Let's stop right there. There was a point in this game where the football team could have at least made it a better ball game. 2 points. Taylor Heinicke carried the ball 10 times for 95 yards and 0 TDs. He should have had 1 TD rushing. I challenge you guys to go back, search up YouTube, Taylor Heinicke, or just look up the highlights. Search in Washington versus Green Bay highlights, and you'll see the most BS call. Trying to cut down on my cussing, so we'll just call it a BS call the NFL has made since probably the Rams-Saints playoff game a few years back. or I guess you can call that a no call. But the biggest discrepancy in the NFL to date, Taylor Heinicke dives into the end zone untouched, unscathed. But they said he was giving himself up by diving forward because the NFL's trying to protect the quarterback. So anytime a quarterback goes down, they think he's giving himself up. I don't get it. I don't understand it. They're going too far with this rule, clearly, because if you go and watch that play, Taylor, there's no reason why he shouldn't score a touchdown right there. This whole giving yourself up crap, it's football. We are playing football. It's a violent sport. You will get hurt. Be cautious when running the ball. That goes for everyone. Running backs, receivers, even quarterbacks. Sure, if you want to give yourself up as a quarterback, you slide. Cool. Feet first, we'll call that giving yourself up. But when you're diving with the ball going forward, right on the goal line, how is that even close to giving yourself up? The NFL needs to go back. They need to change that rule because it pretty much cost the Washington football team a little bit of a game here. Anyway, Taylor Heinicke, 2 fumbles, 1 loss. One thing I love about Heinicke is he plays his heart out. You know he's out there trying to win every single ball game. He may not have the best stats. He may not be the best player, but I guarantee you he's probably got one of the biggest hearts out there on that field. Terry McLaurin, 7 receptions, 122 yards, and a TD. He should have 2 TDs. It was, I do believe it was 7-21, about 4 minutes left in the third, roughly. Taylor Heinicke scrambles right. They're about on the 15-yard line. Throws a dime to Terry McLaurin, and it bounces off his chest while he was in the end zone. Should have been an easy catch and touchdown. Would have put him up 21-14, or they still would have been down by 7. But you get what I'm saying. They make it a ball game a little bit. Make Aaron Rodgers have to go out and score. 21-14 is a lot better than 21-7. It doesn't take anybody to watch the NFL to know that. But overall, some defensive leaders, Devondre Campbell, linebacker of the Green Bay Packers, 13 total tackles, 10 solo. Hell of a game for him. Rashawn Gray, linebacker for the Packers, got 2 sacks. Kingsley Keke, not sure if I'm saying that right, D-tackle, got 1.5 sacks, so a little bit of a field day in the sack department for Green Bay. Shout out that defense. Oh, yeah. Chandon Sullivan, cornerback, got an interception, his first of his career. Shout out, Chandon. Take that ball home. Sign it yourself. Give it to your wife. Give it to a kid. Not like Brady did, took away a 600 pass. We'll get into that later. But give it to a kid. Give it to somebody. It's your first pick interception of your NFL career. Hell, keep it. On Washington's side of the defense, Jonathan Allen, 2 sacks to lead. What was that? No, just 2 sacks. Sorry about that. Montez Sweat, another sack. So a lot of sacks going on the defensive side. Inevitably, the Green Bay Packers would end up winning 24-10, and they advance to 5-1 or 6-1, one of those. But they'll be taking on the undefeated Arizona Cardinals this Thursday night, as mentioned before. Moving on, Chiefs versus Titans. This had all the makings of a beautiful game, and it did not deliver. Patrick Mahomes. Yikes. Can't say I thought I'd ever see Patrick Mahomes struggle like he's been struggling this NFL season. He went 20 for 35, 206 yards, 0 TDs, and 1 interception. 6 carries, 35 yards, 2 fumbles, 1 loss, and a QBR of 62.3. Damn it, Patty, what the hell's going on? You got a lot of bettors betting money on you. Not saying I have. Not saying I haven't. A lot of money on people betting on you, and you're going to go do what you're doing this season. It's okay. I think he's going to work it back, but I think the Chiefs are finally starting to get caught up with by the rest of the NFL, and it's not looking pretty. We'll see if Andy Reid can maneuver some stuff around. I don't know. Maybe eat a donut about it. We'll see. Moving on, Byron Pringle, receiver for the Chiefs, was the leading receiver on that team with 5 receptions, 73 yards. Travis Kelce with 7 receptions, 65 yards. I don't know. Anytime you got Byron Pringle leading your team in receiving yards, Chiefs are probably not going to be a good day. On the other side of the ball, the hottest team in the NFL right now. My hottest team in the NFL. Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill, 21 for 27, 270 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, but a total QBR of 87.8. A lot better than that guy over there with the curly hair. Running the ball, obviously, Derrick Henry's going to lead the team in that department. 29 carries, 89 yards. But what if I told you Derrick Henry tied the game's leading passing touchdown stat? That's the best way to put it. A little confusing. Let me just tell you, he threw a touchdown in the opening drive. He's 1 for 1, 5 yards and a TD. I believe that's his second of his career. He did it in a playoff game against the Ravens a couple years ago. Very similar type of play. Works for him. Leading receiver on the team, A.J. Brown with 8 receptions, 133 yards, and 1 TD. Now, let me just say this. A.J. Brown is scary. Let's not forget who's on that other side of that field. Big Julio Jones. Big Julio Throw It Up Jones is on the other side of that field, and he's sunning him, beating him every single week for the most receptions, most yards, and most TDs of the game. Julio Jones, just 2 receptions, 38 yards. What's going on there? Is it Julio Jones' decline? Is this by design? Is this by game plan? Are they opening it up for future games where they think, oh, they're just going to go to AJ, let's double team, boom, pop over the top of Julio Jones? I don't know. Can't call it. What I will say, though, is Tennessee's a scary team. I wouldn't want to face them right now. Defensive leaders of the game, Nick Bolton of the Chiefs, the rookie, 15 total tackles, 10 solo. Can I get a rookie of the year vote on the defense? Maybe. I don't know. Haven't checked it, but right now that looks like a damn good stat line. Like a damn good stat line. Ben Niemann, linebacker, gets his first sack of the season, his second of his career. Shout out Ben Niemann. Willie Gay on the Chiefs gets an interception as well. Defensive side of the ball for the Titans, Dane Cruikshank definitely fucked that one up. 8 total tackles, 7 solo. Dinko Autry, a rookie, 2 sacks. Rashard Evans, 1 interception, the first of the season. And Bud Dupree gets his first sack of the season coming in the first quarter. Shout out Bud Dupree, pass stealer. We salute you. Fuck you for leaving us. But hey, that's neither here nor there. KC 3, Tennessee 27. Game 4, Falcons versus Dolphins. Now, obviously, this was a shit show from the beginning. But man, did it turn into quite a game. Offensive leaders for this game, Matt Ryan, 25 for 40, 336 yards and 2 TDs, 1 interception, and 1 fumble loss. We'll get back to Matt Ryan in a second. I want to talk about him, but let's go through the offensive leaders right now. Running back Cordero Patterson, who looks to be taking over that running back backfield for the Falcons. Kind of pisses me off. All you fantasy guys who drafted Mike Davis, kind of pissed off about that whole scenario. Wanted a little bit more usage out of Mike Davis. Didn't see Cordero Patterson coming into the mix and ruining that. But anyway, he's got 14 carries for 36 yards and a TD. Kyle Pitts, the rookie, 7 receptions, 163 yards. Didn't get a TD, but man, this guy is coming out, and he's coming out fast. Kyle Pitts looks like a demon. He doesn't even look like a tight end. This guy's a receiver. He's basically a receiver. You know, you can call yourself a tight end and all this stuff, but we know you're a receiver. We know what you are, bud. Okay? We're going to go to Miami's offensive side of the ball, Tua Tagovailoa, which I do have. I want to talk about him. I want to talk about both these quarterbacks. But let's go over the game first. Tua, 32 for 40, 291 yards, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions. Myles Gaskin, 15 carries, 67 yards, and 1 reception TD. Myles Gaskin, they need to use him a lot more. Miami's a shit show right now. It's a house that's burning. It's a house that's burning, and the family members are throwing gasoline on the inside. Daddy and mommy are throwing gasoline on the inside. The kids are running around like, what? What? So if I was those kids, those players, I'd be requesting trades. I'd be doing anything I can to get the hell out of there because it is not a good sign. It's not a good place to be right now. Anyway, Mike Gesicki, tight end, 85 yards, 7 receptions, and 1 TD. Jalen Waddle, 7 receptions, 83 yards. See, they got a lot of talent. The higher ups just don't know what they're doing, really. But let's stop. I want to talk about Matt Ryan because here's what's interesting. The Falcons started off 0-3. They've worked it back to 3-3. Matt Ryan is one of the premier veterans of the league. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't been the most impressed guy of Matt Ryan. I haven't. Haven't felt like I needed to. But one of the reasons why I want to talk to you about Matt Ryan is he's a veteran quarterback. Okay, what do we know about veteran quarterbacks? We know they tend to do pretty well when it gets late in the season, in November, in the playoffs. At least for me, if I got two teams that are about the same level of skill, one team has a veteran quarterback, the other team's got a non-veteran quarterback, I'm going to go with that veteran guy every single time because of what they can bring or what they do bring to a team, especially filled with youth. Now, I'm not saying the Atlanta Falcons are going to go run off, 12 games and go into the playoffs 13-4 or anything like that, but I'm saying they can. There's a chance. And when you got Matt Ryan, Matty Ice playing like he's playing right now with a young team, it can get a little scary. Not saying they're going to go off and beat the Bucks for the division and stuff like that, but I'm saying they can. There's a chance. They're only 2 games back. You guys see what I'm saying here? So Matt Ryan, whether we like to believe it or not, has a chance to extend his career even further than what we thought he can go, because I thought he was done during this season. I thought he might even get benched, but it turns out he's making all the right moves. Now let's look on the other side of the ball. The Miami Dolphins QB, Tua Tagovailoa. Old Tui. We know the rumors. He's getting traded here. He's getting traded there. Deshaun Watson's coming in. I hear all this talk. But you know what I see on game day? You know the action I see? I see a young, gifted, talented, hungry, motivational, all the inspiring stuff you could say about a guy. That's what I see in Tua Tagovailoa. Yes, he makes mistakes. Yes, he throws bad balls here and there. What quarterback doesn't? Have you seen Patrick Mahomes? Go watch a few of his games this season. Tell me he doesn't look like straight shit sometimes. But you still would want him on your team. That's what I'm getting at right now with Tua Tagovailoa. This guy, I don't know why. I don't understand why people are sleeping on him so bad. So I'm looking at these trade rumors. I'm not seeing why. Maybe it's because he's injury prone, I guess. Sure. You could make that argument. But like I said, I'm looking at all these trade rumors. I'm thinking, God, what would he get? And then one team comes to mind. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Why not? Why not Pittsburgh? Ben's got 1, 2 more years, maybe. We've cleared up a little bit of cap. I think we have a lot of cap going into next year. I think we're like top 5 at least going into next year with cap room. We can afford him. We need that young guy. Tomlin's always talking about we need someone who's mobile. Looked at a lot of mobile quarterbacks. Kind of messed that one up. Throughout on the bye week, he said, I wonder if he tuned in on this game. I wonder just how close Kevin Colbert is to making this trade official. You bring Tua Tagovailoa to Pittsburgh Steelers with all that talent at receiver, Najee Harris, very young, youthful O-line, lots of potential though. That's going to be scary for the league. And I, as a Pittsburgh Steeler fan addict, that means a fan who's addicted. I personally would back that decision up 100%. And there's my rant about Matt Ryan and Tua Tagovailoa. Now let's get into the defensive side of this game. Deion Jones, we know what he is. He's got 15 total tackles, 11 solo, 1 sack. He's their defensive player of the year for them. No doubt about it. And now we got, I'm going to mess his name up, Foyesade Olokun. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a linebacker on the Atlanta Falcons. Go look him up. He got 3 total tackles, 8 solo, 1 interception for a 56-yard return. Almost went to the house. On the other side of the ball, Miami side, Eric Rowe, 9 total tackles, 6 solo. It's a safety doing that. That's pretty impressive. And then Javon Holland, the rookie out of Oregon, gets his first interception of his career. Shout out Javon Holland, the Rook. But inevitably, Atlanta would take this game 30-28. It was a hell of a game, though. Probably the best game out of all the 10 a.m. games that were on. Game 5, Jets versus Patriots. Offensive leaders, wouldn't even call him a leader, Zach Wilson, a rookie out of BYU, 6 for 10, 51 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions before going out due to injury. And then Mike White steps in for 202 yards, 1 TD, and 2 interceptions. Pretty much exactly what Zach Wilson would have done if he had stayed in. Really, there's not many offensive leaders on this team. Corey Davis, 4 receptions, 47 yards, and a TD. I guess if you want to call that a leader. But on the other side of the ball, guys, it was just complete domination. I mean, you would think this was 2011 Patriots versus Jets, old school Tom Brady style domination, whatever you want to call it. Mac Jones, 24 for 36, 307 yards, 2 TDs, and 0 interceptions. Mac Jones is obviously the best rookie out of this draft class so far. So far, obviously, still a young season, still young in his career, but so far, Mac Jones has looked like the right guy. Looked like the guy that should have went before Justin Fields. Looked like the guy that should have went before Trey Lance as well. So, but again, that's neither here nor there. Damian Harris, 14 carries, 106 yards, 2 TDs. If you had him in your fantasy like I did, you're definitely pleased with that. I mean, J.J. Taylor, he even got two tugs, 9 carries, 21 yards, 2 TDs. Let's look at the receiving. I mean, Brandon Bolden, the running back, led the team in receptions with 6, 79 yards and a TD. I mean, they just threw the ball all over the place. They threw it 11, 12 or 11 people, or 12 or 11 or 12 receivers, or God, I'm just trash with words. 12 or 11 different players caught the ball for the New England Patriots. Yes, this is uncut, live, unfiltered. I will not go back and edit that piece out because I want you guys to know exactly what I'm saying. There is no redos on this podcast. I give it to you straight and I give it to you hard, and sometimes I give it to you so direct you don't even want to hear it, but it's what you need to hear, and that's what we do here at the T Bloom Talk Show. As your host, T Bloom, it is my mission to make sure you get 100% authenticity from me and eventually my coworkers when I get some. Anyway, let's look at the defensive side of things. I mean, two interceptions. Kyle Duggar got one. J.C. Jackson got one. Not really going to talk about much on this. It was a 54-13 game. Patriots take the win and they improve to 3-4. Interesting stat here. They're 1-4 at home. New England. Very tough place to play in past years, and now they are 1-4 at home. We'll keep an eye on that as the season goes on. Game 6, Panthers versus the Giants. Had shit show written all over it, and guess what it was? Drum roll, please. And yes, another shite show at the highest of levels. Sam Darnold, 16 for 25, 111 yards, 1 interception. He would eventually get benched for PJ Walker, who would go 3 for 14, 33 yards, no touches, no interceptions. And the Panthers are burning. Started out just like the who else was I talking about? Who else was I talking about? Started off just like the Broncos. That's right. 3-0. Now they're 3-3, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. DJ Moore got 6 receptions, 76 yards, 0 TDs. Not much to talk about in this game either. Daniel Jones, though. Hey, Daniel Jones fans, where you at? Let's get a clap. Shout out True, one of my good friends out here. Only Giants fan I know. Getting a dub. 23 for 33, 203 yards, 1 TD. You know Daniel Jones is going to get some carries. 8 carries, 28 yards. Come on, Playboy. Don't play with Danny J. Danny Crazy Legs J. You never know where that guy going. Defensive leaders, Azeez Ojulari. God, a lot of names I just am going to have to learn how to pronounce. But that's the best I can do. Azeez Ojulari, 2.5 sacks. He's got 5.5 sacks on the year. Giants would go and take this one 25-3. Moving on, game 7, Bengals versus the Ravens. Now, as a Steeler fan, really, really glued to this game, seeing how this would play out. Started off a little bit of a better game than what it would end to. Eventually, the Bengals would kind of start to take over and run away with this one. Joe Burrow, 23 for 38, 416 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. The Joe Burrow show is officially in full steam ahead. I can't wait to end that show when we face them. We'll get into that when the Steelers face them. Joe Mixon, 12 carries, 59 yards, and 1 TD. For the most part, he was contained very well until one I think like 25-yard run he broke for a TD. But Ja'Marr Chase, Jesus Christ, I had no idea. 8 receptions, 201 yards, and 1 TD. I had no idea that this guy would come in and be this good, this goddamn fast. Wasn't ready for it. Still not ready for it. Lamar Jackson went 15 for 31, 257 yards, 1 TD. He had 12 carries for 88 yards, no TDs. I mean, that's the same stat line you get with a win with Lamar. I mean, that's pretty normal for Lamar to have that stat line and the Ravens to be on the other side, right? Maybe they got the win. I could see him having that exact same stat line. Marquise Brown, 5 receptions, 80 yards, and a TD. They finally got a deep ball to go for him. Finally. But no, kind of an abysmal second half for that Ravens team. On the defensive side of the ball, not much for the Ravens. For the Bengals, Sam Hubbard, 2.5 sacks, 1 pass deflection. Larry Ogunjobi, I know how to pronounce that. Thank you very much. Shout out Madden. 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for losses. Bengals, 41. Ravens, 17. Next, Eagles versus the Raiders. Another shite show. Jalen Hurts, 18 for 34, 236 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. He had 13 carries, 61 yards, and 1 fumble loss. Jalen Hurts. It hurts me to see the position you're in with the Eagles franchise, who constantly looks like their front office sucks. Looks like their coaching staff is just trash. I mean, I would absolutely hate to be an Eagle fan. Sorry, Charlie, another friend that lives out here. Shout out to him if he's listening. We love you, bud. Derek Carr, 31 for 34, 323 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interceptions. Derek Carr, man. You want to talk about a guy that just gets crap from everybody? You want to talk about a guy who I thought was done? You name Derek Carr and you would cover that criteria in no time. Man, this guy's showing out. Even with the whole John Gruden thing coming out, man, this guy's staying focused, laser focused, keeping his team on track. Just goes to show he doesn't give a fuck about anything but winning. And shout out to him for that. Derek Carr, pretty sure he's second in passing yards, only to Tom Brady. So, I mean, obviously you're not going to be above Tom Brady, but shit. Second in the league. And I mean, let's look at his receivers. I mean, he's got fucking Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller, who I believe was out for this game. And Darren Waller's good. Don't get me wrong. Darren Waller is very good. But I mean, he's nothing crazy. I've seen better receiving corps. I mean, Hunter Renfrow, okay, don't get me wrong. Hunter Renfrow's good. Calm down, you Raiders fans. He's pretty good, okay? But I mean, he's not top 20 in the league. You know what I'm saying? He's not elite. This isn't what you would call exactly an elite receiving core, and he's still putting up good numbers for this team. So shout out Derek Carr. Kenyon Drake, 14 carries, 69 yards, and a TD. Josh Jacobs only had 6 carries. Also had a TD. But what's going on there? Why are you handing the ball off to Kenyon Drake more than Josh Jacobs? I don't understand that. Foster Moreau, a tight end, 6 receptions, 60 yards, and a TD. He had a career day. Shout out Foster. Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, not much to talk about. Avonte Maddox got an interception for the Eagles. The Raiders side of things, Brandon Facyson. Not sure to say that one. I gotta really find this stuff out, guys. I'm sorry. I'm slacking with that. 9 total tackles, 8 solo, and 3 passes defended for the cornerback. Nice job. Eagles would lose 22, Raiders 33. Next game, Lions versus the Rams. Offensive leaders. Now, actually, before we get into that, let's just talk about the start of this game. The Lions, baby. Open up the game. 4th down. Don't give a fook. We're doing the fake punt. Just like the Rams are known to do. And they get it. They go down the field, score a touchdown. Guess what? We're going for the onside kick. Shout out Pat McAfee for the brand. He would love that kind of play. I'm sure he has. I'm sure he talked about it already in his podcast. For the brand, off of the fake punt, go for the onside kick. Get a little special teams action to go. Special teams wins games, baby. That's how they show it. Didn't win in this game, though. They would eventually lose 19-28. But it looked like it would be a close game, and it was a lot closer of a game than people thought it was going to be. Jared Goff, his revenge game. This is what he considers revenge, going 22 for 36, getting a TD and an interception. Not sure what those stats is looking like for the yards, but they really weren't that good. I mean, Jared Goff sucks, guys. It's official. DeAndre Swift would go 13 carries, 48 yards, but he would also have 8 receptions for 96 yards and a TD. DeAndre Swift, the offensive MVP this game for the Lions. Matt Stafford would go 28 for 41, 334 yards, 3 TDs. Real Matthew Stafford like. Cooper Kupp, though. Big Coop. Big Koopa Loop. 10 receptions, 156 yards, and 2 TDs. Put it on him. Put it on him. Shout out. You know where he came from? Washington? Not the college. He went to Central, or was it Eastern? I think it was Eastern. Here in Washington, though. And he's representing pretty well. Defensive leaders, I mean, there's really nobody to talk about here. Kind of just nothing to talk about. Like I said, Lions 19, Rams 28. Game 10, Texans versus the Cardinals. Slop fest. Houston got a safety on the Cardinals. That was pretty much the coolest play they had. The Cardinals did what the Cardinals do. Kyler Murray, 20 for 28, 261, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Chase Edmonds, 15 carries, 81 yards, yada, yada, yada. Not much going on in the receiving things. DeAndre Hopkins, 7 receptions, TD. Zach Ertz, his first game. Big Zachy Ertz, 3 receptions, 66 yards, 1 TD. Can I get a Zach Ertz? In the house for the Cardinals. Get used to him, Arizona. It's a nice addition to your team. Anyway, Cardinals win 31-5. Who'da thunk? Next up, Bears versus the Bucks. Another shite show. 38-3. Bucks would win. I really don't even want to talk about this game. I mean, Brady did what Brady does. Yeah. It was just a blowout. Justin Fields has no chance with that line. Justin Fields has no chance throwing 3 interceptions. Tampa Bay 38, Chicago 3, and our last game might have been the biggest, or not our last game. We got 2 games left, folks. Who am I kidding? Colts versus Niners. The rain blizzard for the Sunday night football for Jimmy G's career right here. Indianapolis Colts, Carson Wentz, 17 for 26, 150 yards, and 2 TDs. That may seem like a bad stat line for you guys, but if you would have watched the game, you would have seen all the rain, all the little drops of rain falling down on that field. You'd understand why. It's kind of amazing that they scored 48 points total in this game. Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 TD. He's been lighting it up for him these past couple games. Michael Pittman Jr., the Rook, 4 receptions, 105 yards, and 1 TD. You gotta love it. On the other side of things, Jimmy G, 181, 1 TD. But here's the kicker: 2 interceptions. Yikes, Jimmy. Has anybody sat him down? Has anybody from the Niners organization, has anybody bring Jimmy G in, sat him down and said, hey, bud, maybe put his hand on his shoulder, give him a little shake. Hey, bud, you got a rookie QB behind you. You can't throw those 2 interceptions and lose the game. They drafted him in the first round. Hey, Jimmy, look at me. They drafted him first round. Traded up to get him. This is your job. I guess not. I guess no one gave him that conversation. They probably want him to fail. Anyway, Elijah Mitchell, 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 TD. I mean, shit. For the fantasy guys out there, Elijah Mitchell has been a blessing. I was going to have him in one of my leagues, but the goddamn waiver shit, I don't understand it. But I should have had him, but I didn't. Anyway, Elijah Mitchell, 18 carries, 107 yards in TD. Moving on. Deebo Samuel, Big Deebo. Now, I'm not a Niner fan. One of my best friends is a Niner fan. So, I mean, obviously, sometimes I root for the Niners here and there. But I'm not even a big Niner fan, but I love me some Deebo Samuel. Maybe it's the name, or maybe it's his play style. Maybe it's probably both, to be honest with you. But he got 7 receptions, 100 yards, and a TD. Shout out Deebo Samuel, making it happen when no one else is in that goddamn San Francisco team. Kyle Shanahan. I heard Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. I heard their days are kind of being numbered here. San Francisco, man, they're cutthroat. That's one thing I can't relate to. As a Steeler fan, when we get a coach, especially a head coach, he's going to be our head coach for 20 plus years. It's almost guaranteed. Or around 20 years at least. But then again, we haven't really struggled as much. I'm not sure. I'm just not used to this whole, hey, you guys have had 3 losing seasons or 3 seasons with no Super Bowl. Oh, skirt, beep, out. Just not used to it. Scares me. Scares me a little bit. Anyway, there would be quite a few fumbles on this game. Obviously, with all this rain, Carson Wentz had 2, he lost 1. Jonathan Taylor had 2, he lost 1. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo had 2, he lost 1. Deebo Samuel had 1, lost 1. Total of 4 turnovers based off fumbles. Can't have that. Oh, and then Xavier Rhodes with his pick. Kari Willis with his pick. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it was just not good for the Niners. Where's Nick Bosa? Is there a missing sign for him? Oh, he's right here with 4 total tackles, no sacks. What the fuck is going on with Nick Bosa? Come on. DeForest Buckner got his revenge sack against the Niners with just 1, but a meaningful one at that. But yeah, that's pretty much all to cover there. Indianapolis would win it 30-18, and now we move on to our biggest shite show of the week. Yes, that's right. The Seattle Seahawks versus the New Orleans Saints. The most boring game of the year. Let's give them a clap it up for them. I mean, really. No other teams could do what they did last night. Or not last night. On Monday night. Not many, at least. Jameis Winston, 222 yards, 1 TD. Alvin Kamara. This was the Alvin Kamara show. It was Alvin Kamara versus Seattle Seahawks. That's a joke I stole from my friend Devin. Devin, don't worry, I'm not trying to steal your joke. Shout out Devin House, also a close friend. If you're listening, stay up. Moving on. Alvin Kamara, 20 carries, 51 yards. But that's not where he did most of his damage. He did most of his damage, obviously, through the air with 10 receptions, 128 yards, and a TD. That's pretty much all this offense was. And it wasn't even because it was raining. It was just, I think that's all they can do. I mean, they don't really have any other receivers besides maybe Marquez Callaway, maybe Tre'Quan Smith. Eh, eh, you know? And then on the other side, I mean, Jesus Christ. Seattle fans, and this is a touchy subject for me because I live here in Seattle, or not in Seattle, in Washington. And so I've seen the evolution of the fanship kind of all change once that Russell Wilson season started. You guys maybe have seen it if you don't live here. Seahawk fans, you guys don't understand how damn good you've had it with Russell Wilson. He is your best player ever, ever in the history of all your players. He is the best player ever. He is the reason. Well, I wouldn't say the reason why you have a Super Bowl, but he's the reason why you've made the playoffs anytime you've had ever since he's been on the team. Obviously, that defense was nice pair, nice matchup. But you can't say Russell Wilson wasn't a big part of that whole thing. And sometimes I hear people like, oh, get Russ out of there. Get Russ out of there. Yeah, Geno, he's done really good. He's different. No. Stop. Geno Smith is not Russell Wilson. Your team is shit without Russell Wilson. Sure, Pete Carroll's a little bit of a good coach. No. Stop. Your team goes by a first and a last name, and it's not the Seattle Seahawks. It's Russell Wilson. Without him, you guys are dog. I don't even want to say it. You guys will get dog walked the rest of the season if he doesn't come back. I'm serious. You guys better show all your respect to Russell. All your respect to that guy. Because if he leaves, you guys are fucked. Anyway, I digress. Alex Collins, 16 carries, 35 yards. Geno Smith, I mean, just shit show. DK Metcalf, 2 receptions, 96 yards, and a TD. Yay. It's here to look on the defense. Nothing really here to look on the defense. A couple sacks. I mean, no interceptions. Like I said, it's a shit show. New Orleans wins 13-10. And that's going to do it for me looking back on the week 7 of the NFL season. Not the most impressive week of the season, but yeah, a week in the season nonetheless. And is that going to do it for me? Let me see. Yeah, I think that'll. Oh, right, my Thursday night prediction. How could I ever forget? Here we go. Green Bay Packers versus the Arizona Cardinals. Let's just pick this apart a little bit. Let's analyze it. Let's just really break it down. QB to QB, Aaron Rodgers or Kyler Murray. You got to give it to Aaron, but not by a lot. Packers have that one. Defensive side of the ball. I think Arizona's defense is far better than the Packers. I think the Packers these last 2 games had a little bit of luck involved. A little bit of ball bouncing in their way, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? They're not the most complete team. They're going to be missing Davante Adams. Not only are they going to be missing Davante Adams, but they're going to be missing Matthew Lazard, their second receiver. How's that going to work? You going to throw to big Bob Rob, Tanyan all game? I don't think so. Maybe this is why Aaron was going for Randall Cobb. He knew, hey, week 8, we're going to get a couple COVID players, receivers that have to be pulled. I need Randall Cobb for that week. To all you fantasy owners, you should probably go pick him up. He might have a big ball game. Hey, I didn't say that. Whoever that was, I don't know who said that. That's them. No, but seriously, Randall Cobb might have a big game. But that doesn't mean they're going to get the dub. And let me just say one thing more about the Packers. I'm not completely sold on the Packers doing much other than what they've done the past 10 years. I mean, we see this every year going 6-1. Oh, they're super good. Oh, they're the team to beat. Their offense is unstoppable. Aaron Rodgers unstoppable. But then they get beat in the playoffs. Now let's think about it. Is this team better than last year's team? Even when they do have both their receivers? No, I don't think they are. So how are they going to go further in the playoffs if they're not even a better team than they were last year, a year where they got beat in the playoffs? You see what I'm saying? You see where this makes sense? I'm just not sold on the whole Packers thing. So, my official prediction for Thursday night, I'm going to go Arizona 31, Green Bay Packers 26. That's my official prediction. Quote it, stamp it. If you're a betting man, not saying I am, not saying I'm not, but if you're a betting man, you would bet the Arizona Cardinals to win the game. But if you're also a betting man, it wouldn't be the worst idea to take the plus 6.5 for Green Bay, because I believe it will be a close game, and I think Aaron Rodgers can definitely bring it to within 6. But anyway, that's going to do it for my oh, fuck. But anyway, nonetheless, that'll do it for this episode of the T Bloom Talk Show. I will be back Friday for another episode. This time, we're going to be going over all the Week 8 games. I'll give you my official predictions. I'll give you a couple topics, a couple key points of what's happening around the league. Until then, sayonara, T Bloomanites. I'll see you later.